Hey Stampers, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a mystery case show and tell for you today. This is Monday, August 17th. Welcome to Monday. So this week's clues were pretty simple. You were to have a large circle framelit or paper punch, some designer series paper, coordinating cardstock. So I've got the cinnamon cider and the whisper white. We have sentiment stamp set. I've got So Sentimental, an embossing folder if you want to do any embossing layers. I'm using Tasteful Textures, and then a coordinating embellishment. So maybe that's ribbon or rhinestones or dots, or maybe you're going to make a cute little embellishment to go with your designer series paper. So whatever you might have. So let me show you my ideas for this, and then of course you are welcome to case your hearts out this week and make some cards. So the first thing is I'm going to take my 4x6 paper, and I've already cut mine and did the die cutting, but look, I first trimmed off so it was 4 by 5 1/4. That way I can put it on the front of one of my cards and it's going to make a front all of its own. Then I've got this paper ribbon, okay, at 3/4 of an inch that I can use on the inside or on the front of a card. And I've got the die cut circle. So we're actually going to make 2 cards today. So I took my 4x6 and I got those 3 pieces out of it. Okay, now this is going to be monochromatic, so I'm using cinnamon cider in color ink. We're using the cardstock. Obviously we're using the two-tone monochromatic paper from the All Seasons. This is actually from the All Seasons Memory Moors kit, but we have paper in the All Seasons Memory Suite. So, okay, let's do our first card. So I have a piece of cinnamon cider that I'm going to front onto my Whisper white cardstock. So, being a new in color, I don't have a lot of it in stock, and this is one way you can save some cardstock. So if you just use a 1/4 sheet of colored cardstock and then adhere it to your Whisper white card base, you get the card color on the front, but you can reserve some of it for other pieces down the road, and you won't have to worry about lining your card because the inside will already be the white or the vanilla. So I'm just going to put that right on top. Now I use the liquid adhesive because it allows me to move it around a little bit to make sure that I've got it on square and easy. Okay, so there is my first card base. Now for this one, I'm going to take this panel, which I've cut down to 4 by 5 1/4, and I cut that circle out of it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put vellum behind that die cut circle, just because I want to stamp on that with my cinnamon cider ink, and I want it to stand up a little bit more than just color on color. So this is from the So Sentimental, and I'm just going to stamp it. Now, I didn't adhere any of that yet. I'm just holding it with my fingers, because sometimes when you stamp on vellum, it slides, or it doesn't come out nice and clean. So before I adhere it, I just want to make sure that I'm going to get a nice, clean, stamped image. That's pretty good. I like that. Okay, so now I can go ahead and adhere it. So I'm just going to flip this piece over. So our Memories and More are a bunch of pieces. Some are these large ones, some are smaller ones that you can use in scrapbooks, or you can cut them down and use them on cards. So this was the back side. So now I'm just going to take this and position it over let me do this first. Add a little bit of adhesive just to my corners. I'm going to stick that down like that. I didn't put any adhesive in that centerpiece, and then I'm just going to put this right over the top. Okay, so coordinating cardstock, vellum, and this piece of DSP that's been cut down. Now, I decided that I didn't buy the stamp set as of yet, but I do have the daisy punch. So I'm going to make a couple of daisies to add as an embellishment. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to punch out 2 daisies on Whisper White. And then I'm going to use my cinnamon cider ink and a sponge dauber. I'm going to add some shading to them now, just to keep my mess mat from getting too terribly covered in ink. I'm going to just hold that down in that die cut. So just going to come along and add some of this cinnamon spice ink to the petals. So it's not a solid covering of the flower. It's going to leave some of that white peeking through, but it's going to add some nice texture. So there's one. Well, let's do this other one here for a second. So I'm going to do a 2-layer daisy. I'll just offset the petals. Okay, so there's that. Then I thought for the center of our daisy, I have already die cut, actually I paper punched out a 3/4 inch circle, and I had run that cinnamon cider cardstock through the Tasteful Textures embossing folder, so it's got texture to it. So now let's build up our daisy. So I'm going to use glue dots. So I'm just going to put a glue dot in the center of the back of this flower, if it'll stick. There we go. Sometimes humidity is not our friend. So I'm just going to offset those petals. And I'm going to put the textured circle on the front. Okay, and then I can kind of tweak petals up to give it some dimension. Up, back, however. Right, okay. So now I've got a daisy. And then I'm also going to use 2 sprigs from my sprig punch, and these I did out of the cinnamon cider paper. So I'm keeping it all in that color scheme. So now I'm going to go ahead and build this onto my card. Put some dimensionals on the back of my daisy. I'll put that down here, just kind of offset with my expression. And then I'm just going to put these 2 sprigs on glue dots, and then I can put them in behind the daisy. Okay, so I'm going to put one up, and I'm going to put one kind of around the circle down here, kind of soften it a little bit, and there we go. Now I'm also going to add the leftover strip as my paper ribbon to the inside. I'm just going to add some adhesive, and then to dress up the inside just a little bit, I'm just going to put that right down here on the bottom. Okay, so there is one card idea. So you play with yours, but that's one card idea. Now I have an extra circle, right? So let's use it. So with the same idea, now I've got a Whisper white cardstock. I've embossed this one with the Tasteful Textures folder, so that's all embossed. I'm going to add to that my circle die cut. So let's see. I'll put it with the daisies up. Then I've gone ahead and I've embossed a 1/2 inch piece of cinnamon cider in that same folder. And I'm just going to add that down as a paper ribbon. I'm going to come right across the bottom of that circle. Now you can see I've already stamped and I've die cut that with my circle layering circles. And I'm just going to put that up on dimensionals. One is probably enough. So I'm going to add my sentiment, and I'm going to offset those circles like this. That works out. The healings are right along that paper ribbon. And then I have 2 more of those sprigs. I decided not to put a full daisy on this one because I don't want to take away from the 2 circle elements, but we can add a couple of these sprigs just to bring the idea from the paper into the card. And so again, I'm going to put one kind of up and one down. So with your basic elements that you started with, and by die cutting out your circle from it, I was able to make 2 cards following this case clues. Now I'm going to tell you, I've got samples of these types of cards all week for you, and I got the idea from the blog Case the Sketch, so I'll share that with you this week too. But the idea of these pieces came from their blog. So enjoy the whole week, do some crafting, share your photos with me. Remember, email them to me at susan@pumpkinhillstampers.com. I will tag your name on them for you, and then I will share them on the show and tell. So I can't wait to see what you're doing. Enjoy your crafting time and have some fun this week. All right, have a great time. Bye-bye.